Hi YouTube, my name is Jeff and I'm here to show you my aquaponics system I built. I've always been a gardener and I've toyed around with different methods of gardening. Love it, very relaxing, as most of you all know. I toyed around with hydroponics for a while, actually several years, and was introduced to aquaponics. Aquaponics fascinated me because I am a fisherman and I love water. As you can see, I have a property with a lake on it and I do a lot of fishing. I also live in Central Florida, and Central Florida is surrounded by water. Big time offshore fisherman, and if I had it to do over, that's what I'd be doing. But anyway, what is aquaponics? Aquaponics is growing your vegetables or plants with fish. How does that work? Well, the fish, when you feed them, produce a waste, right? Pee and poop. But that pee and poop turns into ammonia, and the bacteria get a hold of it and turn it into a nitrite. It's part of the nitrogen cycle. The nitrite is then attacked again by another microorganism and turned into nitrates. Nitrate is the good stuff, the good stuff that the plants absorb through their roots and feed on. So the plants will take all the nitrates out of the water and then return the water back to where it came from. So the whole cycle starts again. I'll show you what that means here in a better detail. Now that you know a little bit about aquaponics, let me show you my system. Back this way. This is the fish house. The fish house is totally screened in and is where the main fish tank lives. It's on the north side of the shed so that it's not constantly getting sun. It gets morning sun and a little bit of afternoon sun. Before we look at the fish, let me show you what's going on here. We got an air pump here. The air pump supplies oxygen into the water to keep the fish thriving and to actually move the particulates that are floating in the water. Remember I told you about the poop and the pee? Well, that's got to go somewhere. This helps stir it up and pushes it through the sump the pipe. I'll show you that in a minute. So back here we have a UPS system that is tied on to the fish pump. If we lose electricity, and after I get solar on here, if I lost solar and then lost the electrical, at least I have UPS for a few hours to keep the oxygen flowing through the system. I have to test the water every week. That's important. pH, nitrite, nitrate, and make sure that I got a good balance. I do offset a little bit of the natural cycle with liquid seaweed, which is totally normal or organic. It adds the magnesium, and I want to say calcium, a little bit of calcium. Also offset with an iron, chelated iron, which is necessary for good leaf growth of the plant. Unfortunately, the nitrates do not give all of the elements that plants need, so you have to supplement it a little bit. Also have a fish feeder for the times I go away. Keeps my fish happy. All right, so turn on the light here, turn off the oxygen or the air, and this is the main tank. The main tank has 20 blue Nile tilapia in it, and they're about 4 months old. Down at the bottom you'll see the air stone, electric heater that's tied onto a thermostat. We keep the water 76 to 85, 90 degrees. Here in Florida, after probably in May, we don't have to worry about heating. We'll have 85, close to 90 degree water. Fish love it, actually. All the waste is recirculated through the oxygen movement, and then at the bottom you'll see the bottom of a pipe. The pipe, basically all this water coming in from the sump is forced back through the pipe and back out underground and back to the sump. This is a 24-hour operation. So I'm going to turn this back on and tour the other side of the system. So the other part of the system, we have what's called a media bed. I have 3 of them here. It's a flood and drain setup. Uses a gravel mixture. Approximately 1.5 inches below the gravel is the water level. We control the water level through a pipe in here, which is has what's called a bell siphon sitting on top of it. The bell siphon basically is a contraption, that mechanical device, that when the water gets to a certain height, the water will then go over a pipe inside. Well, let me show you. There's a pipe inside that's open. The bell siphon is basically closed. When it sits on top, the water will rise, and when the water rises, it starts going through the pipe. It creates a vacuum, a natural vacuum. The bell siphon's entire job, is to create and hold the vacuum until the end. At the end of the vacuum, the water is all drained through the entire system, and the cycle starts over. Water comes in through these pipes here, controlled by this valve. The reason I put the rock over it is to keep the algae from growing. If for some reason we have a lot of rain or the bell siphon fails, that overflow will take all the existing water and take it back to the sump. What's the sump? The sump is where all of the water is collected. This is the main sump tank. This water leaking right now is for the center media bed. The bell siphon let all the water out after it pulled the suction. It happens every 15 minutes, and you'll see when it turns off here, it'll just stop. That's our right tank, middle tank, left tank. In the back there is the Dutch buckets. You see this just turned off, and if you heard it, it kind of made a gurgling noise. We'll see, maybe we'll get lucky and see another one starting here. This water right here exiting the main fish tank is the dirt, I guess you'd say the rich nutrient water. The poop and pee mixture is basically circulated in here. The pump lifts it up, takes it out. Goes 3 different ways. One to my Dutch buckets, which is a continuous flow. One to the media beds, no valve there because the valves are up top, and then one down, which goes underground back to the fish house. Whoops. Another line comes in from the rain collection system to fill the sump back up. In addition to that, there's an overflow, and the overflow goes down into a drain, as well as the bottom of the tank ties into it to a drain that goes back to the lake. So nothing's wasted. Got any water going on here yet? No water. So in the media beds, again, I mentioned I have 3 of them. There's a guard. These actually, the Florida lizards are actually good guards. They keep lots of pests off my plants, and they don't eat my vegetables and my strawberries like the birds do, or the bugs. In this media bed is the lettuce section. Got some Swiss chard, lettuce, romaine, and then actually have some jalapenos in here too, and some banana peppers. They're kind of mixed in here. This middle section is Napa cabbage. Oh, see that lizard underneath? He's like hanging. We had a bunch of butter lettuce in here. We just harvested it all. But the Napa lettuce, or Chinese Napa cabbage, I should say, or Chinese cabbage, will be used for kimchi down the road. In this bed, I just took a bunch of stuff out. I got some eggplant growing. I think this is a Brussels sprout, but I'm not positive. These are strawberries. Strawberries had a tough start. They're starting to take off now. I've been eating them all. Here's some strawberry starting here. But yeah, this is our beds, and 24 hours a day. This is what it does. Over here is the Dutch bucket system. This line here is the supply line from the sump. It's one of the other lines. This clear tube I had to make them a little bit bigger because this 1/4-inch tubing gets plugged up with gunk. So I found by putting a bigger tube here, increasing the flow, covering this to keep the algae out, I get a nice flow of water. Let's see if we can turn this out so you can see all the water coming out here. So basically Dutch buckets are a continuous flood, and essentially the plant is in perlite. And at the bottom of this tub here is a pipe, and it's only about this high. The water basically drains down, gets up this high, and just drains back to the sump. So that's my my dual system, feeding off the same sump. Eventually, when I expand, which my wife doesn't like that word, I don't know why. Guess it has money involved with it. I'll do a DWC, or deep water culture, but that'll require a greenhouse, and that's a whole different ball game. Let's see, are we getting any drains here yet? No drains. Let's check a couple little sumps here and see what's going on. So this one's getting close. Getting close. We know the middle one already went, so let's go over here and see, maybe this left one will get lucky. Oh yeah, see that line right there? Oh, it just dumped. It just dumped. Basically what'll happen is it'll pee a little bit, and then the vacuum, the more it'll start flowing a little bit more, a little bit more, a little more, the vacuum will be introduced. The bell siphon says, yeah, dump me, and it dumps the entire content of that bed. So it cycles. Each one, like I said, it's about 15 minutes in between cycles, and what we're getting right now is the clean water. And remember, the plants took all the nitrates out, and also have earthworms in the media bed that further break down old roots, old leaf material, biological breakdown, and of course worm compost is really good for your plants too. And here I got a bunch of goldfish. I just threw them in there. Actually, they were the fish I started my cycle of my system with 4 months ago, and I thought, well, I just might as well keep them. What else am I going to do with them? I can't throw them in the lake. So that's my my second fish tank, basically. I got a Precocimus in there too at the bottom. It's kind of hard to see, but yeah, that's my system. And once in a while you'll see all three of these jumping at the same time, and it's I feel sorry for the fish because it's like a big jacuzzi for them. So that's it. That's the sump. The 3 beds, 12 Dutch buckets. I forgot to mention that I have peppers and tomatoes. Oh, there's my favorite lizard up there. That's actually a native Florida lizard. These brown lizards that we have here are the Cuban lizard, which are invasive. And unfortunately, the brown lizards, they're everywhere, and they're good. I mean, don't get me wrong, but the green lizards are I think, a lot cooler. There's a little brown lizard. That's a female. Unfortunately, the brown lizards chase off the native lizards, the green lizards. I built this house 6 years ago, and that lizard was here, and he's been here ever since. So they say that they chase him up high, but this guy's pretty much owns the garden area. We'll take a look at the garden next after I show you. These are all cuttings of tomatoes. They're finally starting to get green. I had some serious issues with frost this spring, so it really didn't they didn't take off like they usually do. When I did hydroponic, peppers in April would be, oh shoot, they'd be 3 feet tall. So the good thing about peppers is they will last a few years, and I'm hoping that I'll get a good variety of peppers stay in the course. Oh, this one, So that's my aquaponics system, and I hope you enjoyed it. So now that you know how that all works, how did I get here? Well, let me show you. I hope you've enjoyed the garden tour and our aquaponics. Until next time, bye YouTube friends.